Hey guys, it's Nolams of Invoked 101, and today we're going to be taking a look at Generaider. This is a deck that came out in Mystic Fighters. It's actually the only Mystic Fighters deck I picked up, and this is a really cool deck, and it just got a major buff with its new card, Lopter, and it also, its new boss, which is Har, the boss of Storms. There's another new boss that came out of Ignition Assault, but I didn't feel like the deck was warranted for an update whenever that card came out. Real quick, before we get into this, I do want to mention I don't have Kajikiri Curses. I will mention cards that you could take out for Kajikiri Curses, and once I get them, I will be doing like kind of just an updated picture on Instagram once I get those, which you can check out hopefully in our description. Anyways, speaking of the description, if you're feeling generous and you feel like supporting the channel, you like what we do, down in the description there's a few different links that you can check out to support the channel, as well as our Discord server if you feel like chatting with us and joining our weekly tournaments that we do. Anyways, with that said, I'm going to set the spells and extra deck off to the side, and we'll get right into the main deck monsters. So of course the first guy that we're playing is the brand new one, Lopter, the Generaider boss of the shadow of Generaider bosses, sorry, or as Mio likes to call him, Preppy Alistair. So this is Lopter. He's really good. His effect is you can only control one Lopter, which is so all the Generaider boss monsters, including Lopter, he is a Generaider boss monster. They all have the effect of you can only control one of them. You can't control multiples of their name. So like, you know, only one of them exists. So all of them have that effect. Then his effect is all Generaider monsters you control gain 1,000 attack and defense during your opponent's turn only. During the main phase, quick effect, you contribute one Generaider monster, special summon one level 9 Generaider with a different name from your deck. You can only use this effect of Lopter once per turn. And he's a 15/15 level 4. So on your opponent's turn, he's a pretty big boy at 25/25. So to kind of emphasize like what this deck does, or to explain its gimmick, it plays like a RPG boss fight in a weird way. And that sounds kind of strange, but basically what it does is it summons a big guy that your opponent has to beat through, but their field spell also generates them tokens that your opponent has to swing through as well before they can hit the boss. That's kind of the whole play style of the deck. And this guy is kind of like the, as his name implies, he's the shadow of the Generaider bosses, so he's kind of like this like sub mini boss that supports the other bosses, almost like a totem where it buffs the things on the field. We're also playing 3 Lone Fire Blossom for another normal summon, and this is about to become important because I'm about to get into the bosses. So moving those up, we do play 2 Mardell. Mardell is a plant, level 9, which all the Generaider boss monsters except for Lopter are level 9, and she's a plant, and her effect is on normal or special summon, you can add a Generaider card or plant monster from your deck to your hand, except Mardell. You can only use this effect of Mardell once per turn, and like I mentioned, you can only control one of each of these. So another thing with the Generaider bosses is that each of them is kind of a boss monster for the selected typing that they are. So like Mardell, she's a plant, so she's also a plant boss monster. The next one I'm going to show you, he's a machine boss monster, and so on and so forth. They all support their typings. So the next one we play is Devulgus, Generaider boss of Iron, and he is my personal favorite one because he's just a bunch of faces on like a statue. He kind of reminds me of Gurren Lagann in that sense. But his effect is you contribute any number of Generaider bosses and or machine monsters, special summon from your hand in defense position, exactly that many Generaider monsters and or machine monsters, all with different names from each other and from the attributed monsters. You can only use this effect of Devulgus once per turn. And he has 1,525 stats. I also didn't mention her stats, she's 2424. But yeah, Devulgus, really cool, and he's an earth machine, so he actually works really well with a lot of different things. Then we have 2 Hela, Generaider boss of Doom. She's the zombie one. This is the one that's probably actually seen the most play. And her effect is you contribute a Generaider or zombie, target a Generaider or zombie in your graveyard with a different name than the attributed monster, special summon that monster in defense position. You can only use this effect of Hela once per turn. And she's kind of small with attack points. She has 828. Then the last 2 of Generaider boss is Nidhogg, the Wyrm, and he's also one of my favorites just because he's a Wyrm. Water Wyrm, and his effect is when your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you contribute a generator monster or Wyrm, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. You can only use this effect once per turn. This guy is really cool. And easily one of the best generators, which is why you do want to play 2 of him. Like, he's just really good in that sense. And then we have the 1 of generators and just 1 of monsters in general. 1 Naglfar, which says if a card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy 1 generator monster or 1 beast warrior monster you control instead. You can only use this effect of Naglfar once per turn. So what you use him for is to save the tokens off of the field spell because they destroy themselves. So you can use his effect to save them and use them on the next turn. Then we have 1 of the Ignition Assault guy, which is Utgarda, generator boss of Delusion, and he's kind of he's the big castle rock generator, and it says you contribute 2 generator monsters and or rock monsters, then target 1 card on the field, banish it. You can only use this effect of Utgarda once per turn, and that is a quick effect, which is really nice, and he also has really good stats at 22, 27. He's pretty big. Also, Nafagar, really good stats, 31, 200, so really big boy. But yeah, Utgarda is one of the things that does make generators like a little bit better. Like when he came out, it was like, oh sweet, now we can actually do something. Then we have Har, generator boss of storms. And his effect is you can only control 1 Har, which, you know, like I mentioned, all of them say that. It says once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from the deck to their hand, except during the draw phase, quick effect, you can make your opponent send a monster from their hand or field to their graveyard, their choice. And then it says when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you contribute 2 generator or spellcasters, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So that is awesome. We get a second negate, and he has a kind of Dark Law effect where you get to kind of rip a card that they drew out of their hand. So this is, it's so nice. It's just so convenient, and I would honestly consider playing him at 2. There is another generator boss that I don't play. It's the warrior one. He's really bad. He's really just a worse version of Har and Utgarda. They kind of divided him up to make these 2, and it's just so much better with these guys. The last monster we play is Nightmare Incarnation Idli because it protects your level 9 monsters. That's the main reason we play her. So that's it for the monsters of the deck. Moving into the spells and traps, we of course play 2 generator boss stage. Now you could play 3. I played 2 right now because I think 2 is actually a little bit more, it gives you room to play other things, and you can also activate this card from the graveyard using one of their other cards. So boss stage says once per turn, if a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during damage step, including draw phase, you can special summon 1 generator monster from your deck in defense position. If you special summon a generator monster during your opponent's turn, except during the damage step, you can special summon as many generator tokens, light fairy level 4, 15/15, as possible in attack position, but destroy them during the end phase. Even if this card leaves the field, you can only use this effect of generator boss stage once per turn. And so this sets up generators to be this deck that gains advantage off of giving your opponent draws or loot, as the deck wants to refer to it as. So anytime your opponent does something where they draw, they get a piece of loot when they draw. You get an advantage off of that by being able to special summon a generator monster, which is really cool. It's a nice playstyle for the deck, and it is definitely unique in the sense of playstyles. Then we have 3 World Legacy Monstrosity. If you're not playing this in Generator, you're definitely doing something wrong. This either, if after you special summon a Generator, this gets you 2 more, or it lets you get that first one out of your hand. So really good card for the deck, and overall just necessary 3 of. Another card that I think is kind of necessary is Dark World Dealings. Not only does it let you cycle your hand, but it also lets you get advantage with boss stage if your opponent has a when your opponent draws. So like Dark World Dealings, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, Dark World Dealings really does just trigger boss stage, and that's what we're trying to do. You can also play Droll and Lockbird in this deck to kind of lock your opponent out after you Dark World Dealing. Well, not after you Dark World Dealing, but like after you force them to draw a card off of one of the trap cards. You can Droll them, and then they can't search anymore for the rest of this turn, and they kind of have to like deal with your big monster. After that, I'm playing 1 Loot. This is one of the cards that I feel like if you wanted to, you could cut this for Kujikiri Curse. It says, while you control a token, your opponent's monsters cannot target generator effect monsters for attacks. If a generator effect monster is destroyed by battle, your opponent draws 1 card. You can only use this effect of boss loot once per turn. So it is just a protection effect for your from battle for your generators, but it would be kind of like, if you want to cut this for something, and the Kujikiri Curse is something you have, definitely put that in over this. Then we're playing 3 Called Bys. I feel like this deck is fragile, so Called By is definitely a card that I want to play, especially since it does kind of lose the Ash, so Called By is definitely nice to have. I'm playing 1 Terraforming as well, just to get the boss stage, because you do need it. Next up, we're playing a 3 Generator Boss Quest. This is a really interesting search card. It says reveal a generator monster in your hand, and if you do, add up to 2 generator spells or traps with different names from each other from your deck to your hand, except Generator Boss Quest. Then you can place the revealed card on the bottom of the deck. You can only use 1 quest per turn. So like I said, really cool search card. It basically lets you put stuff back to get new things, which is really nice. Moving into the traps, I'm not gonna pick up the spells. We have 1 World Legacy Secret for the kind of Monster Reborn like card. And I get it, like, it really only does work with Mech Knights, but being able to special summon a level 5 or higher monster as a trap card is kind of nice. So even though I'm not playing the Mech Knights in this deck, I felt like this was a good enough card to play. Then we're playing 2 Appropriate. This deck does make your opponent draw a lot. So if you so Appropriate is very nice for the deck, as you get a gain advantage off of it. Real quick, you could also cut the secret for Kujikiri Curse or Monster Reborn, whatever you prefer. Then we're playing 2 Generator Boss Fight. This is, it says activate 1 Generator field spell directly from your deck or graveyard, then your opponent draws a card, which implies there's going to be another one at some point. We haven't got it yet. We've gotten Generator support in 2 sets, Ignition Assault and Eternity Code, and it's looking like we might not get another field spell. I feel like that was just preemptive text, just in case we do get another one, so. But either way, really good trap card, and lets you get the field spell super easy, kind of their own metaverse, if you will. And the last card I play is 1 Boss Room. This is the final card. Like, if you wanted to cut this for Kujikiri Curse, you could. So Boss Room, it says when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of your generator card or effect, you can discard a card. Your opponent's activated effect becomes each player draws a card. You can only use this effect of Boss Room once per turn. So, like, it's a fine card in the sense of like how it interacts, but I feel like you could easily be playing something better than this, such as the draw spell Kujikiri Curse. So that is it for the main deck, and we will get right into the extra. Something fell. I don't know what it was, so I'm not gonna worry about it. That's how it works. So the first monster that we're playing is, of course, 2 Yormonger. This is the big boy. It needs 2+ level 9 monsters, and it says you can only control 1 Yormonger, much like the other generator bosses. And it says this card's original attack and defense become 1,000 times its number of materials. It has a quick effect. You can detach 1 material from this card. Each player draws a card. Then each player that drew attaches a card from their hand or field to this card. You can only use this effect of Yormonger generator bosses. Effective Yormonger Generator Boss of Eternity once per turn. So basically you take 1 material and turn it into 2, he gains 1,000 off of it, which is really cool, and he also triggers the field spell on your turn, which is very nice. Then we play 1 Calamities. I don't feel like I have to explain that card. I think we all know what Calamities does. It's the big level 9 that locks. So then we play some links, because we do play tokens. I'm playing 1 IP Masquerena, mostly just because it lets you link summon on your opponent's turn to go into Unicorn. 1 Cerberus to pop monsters, 1 Phoenix, and I know that these require different monsters with different names. You use a token and a generator to make these. So, 1 Unicorn, this is mostly to summon off the IP. 1 Griffin, again, something that you could summon off IP, but also just a monster in case you need to make it. It's just it's just a card. And then we also have 1 Saryuja, which you can either play Saryuja, you can play Boral Sword, you can play Borreload. Just a link 4 to use the tokens to go into. You could also play the Link not Link Karibo, but you could play Link Spider as well if you wanted to play that to turn the token into another monster in case you just needed another monster off the tokens. So, and of course, all of these go off the fact that Naglfar can save the tokens. So. But yeah, that's really it for the extra. You can play whatever you want realistically. These are just some cards that I had that I was like, okay, yeah, that works in the deck. So I figured I'd show them here just to be like, yeah, you can use really whatever you want. I know it's not a full extra, but you know, you can play whatever you really want. It's one of those types of decks where it doesn't really it has its one extra deck monster, and then like the only other option it really has is VFD, and then like some links if you really want to. Just some utility stuff. But with that said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. This is one of those decks that I picked up mostly just because, like, not because I was interested in the concept of, oh, it's an RPG theme thing. It was more so along the lines of it has a unique play style, and I wanted something that played differently. And it seemed good, and it's gotten a lot better with the Eternity Code stuff. So let me know what you guys think about this deck in the comments below. And while you're down there, feel free to check out the description. Like I mentioned, if you're feeling generous, there's plenty of ways you can support us down there in that description box, as well as our Discord. So if you feel like joining the Discord server, you can. We also have a promotion going with Send Calamity. If you feel like picking up some really cool Yu-Gi-Oh! Girl stickers, he does these. They're all his artwork. You can check that out. We have a discount code, Invoked101. It gives you 20% off at checkout. With that said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
We'll be right back.